Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I want to say good morning because it's so odd to be moderating a panel in the afternoon, which is why we're all a little drunk. Just kidding. That's not true. That is not true. I mean, he is. Welcome. I think we're going to have a really interesting conversation today, and I want to dive right in because after doing a ton of prep for this session, I realized it's only 20 minutes. So if we get through the introductions, we'll be pretty lucky. But I would like each of these gentlemen to introduce themselves so you can put a face to the name and tell us in a minute-ish about your app. No, but this is not, you can pitch later. All right, let's start with you.
I'm Daiss. I'm co-founder of Aviate. We were recently acquired by Yahoo. Aviate is an intelligent home screen that simplifies your phone. So on Android, you can actually overhaul the home screen, and it almost feels like the OS. And so I lead product now on Aviate.
Hi, I'm Max Wheeler. I'm the founder and CEO of Mynd. Mynd is a smart and predictive calendar app for iPhone. It goes into depth of understanding where you're going and who you're meeting with and what information you need to keep you armed and well-informed for all those important meetings.
Great. Hi, I'm Mikael Berner, CEO of a company called Easilydo. We build applications that make sure you never miss anything. We do that by going out, finding all the stuff you're going to care about, and putting it into one feed for you on the top of your phone or in our application, and you can execute things from there.
You guys are way better at that than I thought you were going to be. We're here, we're talking about this idea of predictive. Can you sum up in a nutshell, since none of you did that, just in case, what is the value proposition that you're making to your audience? You're saying, we know a little about you so that we can give a lot? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think with Aviate, what we're trying to do is take in signals that the users give us. It can be time, location, but then email, calendar data. But passively take in information from users and then deliver on user experience that's compelling and at its best is delightful for users, based on different contexts.
Is that how you describe it?
Yeah, we've decided to sort of very narrowly focus on the calendar, right? Because the calendar is already this great predictive engine. The user's telling us what they're going to want to do. And so it's a great engine to use for predicting what information and knowledge that those users are going to need as the day progresses. So it's already halfway there as a predictive engine. It was amazing to us that nobody had done that before we got started doing it.
Yeah, and we tell people we'll help them make sure they never miss anything, and to do that, they have to let us help them track the things that they're going to care about, like calendar, email, and stuff like that.
So how do you make that argument? I think we should dive right in, given our 20 minutes, at the tough question, which is that we're at this time where interest in privacy is really high, or higher, and you're telling users, give me more information about you so that I can give you technology that will know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, so I think, this is a great question, and I think how we've thought about it is, when we first launched Aviate, I think we were really concerned about would users be concerned about it. And so I think we have, at least we're still in beta, but we've really seen that users are okay with it. And I think what's important as you build the experience is to really convey to users why you are taking the data you're taking. So as long as it's clear to users, hey, we're taking this data and we're going to do something useful with it, and they understand the use case you're delivering on, then users feel very okay with it. And so that's at least been our experience thus far.
Have either of you had or email you?
Well, we have people that contact us all the time with privacy questions. And they're usually along two different axes. There's their personal data that they're concerned with, and then there's also their business or corporate data that they're concerned with. We've had doctors asking us if we're HIPAA compliant. And we had to figure out what that was. and
I don't think anybody knows what that is, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say no because you just don't want to get caught into that trap. So people are very concerned about it. But in general, if you are providing good value in exchange for information, you'll get that user's trust, and then you can ask for more information and provide more value. It is an iterative cycle, really, with users. You have to start someplace, but then you can go and engage deeper with them and get more access to data as you progress.
So, Michael, I signed up for Easilydo. I downloaded 2 of the 3. I got my invite code for Aviate, though, so it's next. But the tricky thing to me is that you're asking me up front. Right? So as I'm going through the Easilydo setup process, I'm logging into this, and I'm adding, and with everything that I add, every layer that I add, I get a little more nervous how do you, can you communicate up front, I guess? Is it worth it to say to users with some really simple, beautiful screen, this is going to feel scary at first, but trust me, I'm going to end up being like a really good partner in your life?
Yeah, let's see, you have to ask, the good news is for consumers, you have to ask permission for almost everything now on the phone. So that's the good news, that you have to ask, can I send you a notification? Can I use your GPS? Can I look at your calendar? So just to even conceive of being modestly useful, we have to ask for 3 things, and that feels like a lot. So we actually try to keep it to those 3 things, and then we don't believe in this model of just give us everything and we'll be useful, because that doesn't sound like a good deal, actually. So we try and get those 3 things, do something really useful, and then say, if you liked that, then you can get more by adding this connection or doing that connection. And we try and bring it down to the tasks for the user. It's a tough trick for every app developer, and I know we all spend a lot of time on this to figure out, well, what are the few things I should be asking for? Because I don't think users are buying in broadly to the give me everything pitch.
Although in our call, Mark, you mentioned that you weren't getting a lot of pushback from users.
Yeah, so and I think we're a little bit earlier than the other products, but what we've seen is there are a few
You'll
concerns.
get there.
Potentially, I think what we've actually seen is, and I think users who are coming to an app like Aviate know that this is the promise that the product's bringing to you. So if you are installing it, you are by nature saying, yeah, I'm okay with this. And so I think there's a natural selection there of users.
So it's a little bit of a boiling a frog approach, like you show users what they can get, and then they'll gradually give more?
Yeah, and actually there's 2 reasons. One is because we don't want to ask for all that privacy, but the real reason is because users don't just want to sit there and fill out a bunch of passwords to try out your app. So you got to ask for as little as you can, give them a taste of the app, and then over time they can add stuff.
So what is the promise then? You know, we're doing sort of the process of the user, right? Like, get me comfortable with it, and then tell me, you know, what is the promise as these technologies advance? What can you do with predictive?
Well, it's like the personal assistant metaphor, right? That I think has been overused in this area, but it's apt. It's the ability to tell a piece of technology with a couple of words what you want, and then have it deliver a whole range of information and actions on your behalf. It's that sort of the nirvana of having it do for you everything, all that tedium that you don't want to have to go do. You know, why should I have to go into Google Maps and enter in the destination and the origin for everything I'm going to drive to? It should just know and just launch into navigation mode at the appropriate time. The technology has the promise of doing that, and having access to the user's data that tells us what they're going to be doing, what they're going to be interested in, and even transactions they may want to participate in, help relieve a lot of the tedium.
How important is that? Go ahead.
No.
No, please. It can be a conversation.
Yeah, one thing I think, as I see it, is that there's a lot of use cases that we already believe in, like calendar, like to-do lists. And so I think how at least I view it is that there's all these use cases out there, and then these predictive technologies will come on top of them and make those use cases better. And so it's not like there's going to be a whole new there could be a whole new category of use cases, but I think it's taking our current use cases that we have today. What's a better music service? Songs is a contextual discovery for music. I think there's all these amazing apps that are taking the use cases we already have and then making predictive technology on top of that.
How important does accuracy become? Because I feel like when it works, you don't notice it. But when it doesn't work, you sort of fall into that uncanny valley of, you're not real, why don't you understand me better? Just because I searched, Google now is a good example. Just because I search for that doesn't mean that I want to know about that thing forever. Is the technology good enough to be seamless? Pass the Turing test?
Yeah, so I think, at least as we've learned that, noise to signal is really, really important. And if you are wrong too frequently, or if you have information that's just not useful too frequently, then you will get it uninstalled very quickly. And so I think both that can be handled with the right user experience. So at least on home screens, we can be out of the way a lot of the time. We started with a big Android widget that took up your whole home screen, that stared at you all the time, and users hated that. Mm-hmm. And so then we became way less aggressive, and we're And so the contextual part of Aviate is a small square in the corner, and so it's there for you if you want it, but then gets out of your way. And so I think with every predictive product, there needs to be a really careful balance between noise and signal.
Michael, it feels like this would be especially relevant to you.
Because I'm wrong often? Or
No.
I just wanted to make sure.
because Easilydo does so much.
Well, thank you.
Integrates so much information.
Yeah, we actually, I guess we think about being wrong as you can be wrong as well as you present well. It's kind of like life. So you got to present even if you're wrong, you got to look good doing it. And then the interface, and so that means the interface of being wrong matters. And so that's one of the reasons why cards are so valuable, because users are really comfortable with, I'm not interested in that card, I'm not interested, and they use it for dating apps as well as for searching apps. So, which might be a similar kind of app, I guess, when you think about it. So being wrong in that interface works out well. And we found that we start to lose users' interests right around 30 to 40% of being right. So in that feed of cards, we measure and say, okay, well, how many times have they opened the cards? And we count that as being right because they're interested enough to go in. And if it drops below 30 to 40%, we start to lose the user. So that means like they need to see 1 out of every 2 to 3. But that's a different thing from like on the card, did we pull out, it's, the conference call is with Jen, and did we pull the wrong Jen? That's almost inexcusable. Like people are very sensitive to that kind of stuff.
But with general information, you only have to be like baseball, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I think
Pretty impressive, actually.
if the interface.
I feel like
so
I
think
would tolerate less than that. No, I'm just kidding.
yes, for you it's probably.
For me, it's a bit more. No, is that reassuring, do you think?
But it all depends on the context, right?
Right.
'Cause with Mind, we tell people when to leave for the next appointment, and if we geocode that wrong, it's really really irritating, right? If you're late, that's the worst possible case. So we do try very hard to be right, but we're not 100% right. But it does learn. If we tell you to go someplace and you don't go there, we say, well, I guess that wasn't the right geocode, so we won't do it again.
We're really, really sorry, and a nice interface. Let's talk about platforms briefly, because it seems to me in having this conversation, this came up in our conversation, that on Android, it feels like you can do a lot more. You can access a lot more. And you gave the use case of different signals. Maybe I've calendared that I've gone to the gym, and then Songza serves up a list of gym songs for me at that time. How important is actually openness as a platform as you try to work in more signals?
Yeah, so
we talked about it.
Yeah, so I think that we actually, as a founding team, we had all built on iOS, and so we were looking to build a product on iOS. We would have loved to build a product on iOS, but I think when we thought about the vision of Aviate, which is connecting people to the world's information at the moment it's useful, this very predictive idea, we felt that the best place to do it was going to be on the home screen of a phone. And so, first of all, the UX that we felt like to deliver on this vision that was best was going to be on the home screen. And so I think I'm hoping that Apple says you can build on their home screen, but at least for now, and I don't think anytime soon, they'll be opening that up. So I think, that's one thing is the UX that we built was very unique to Android. And then I think the onboarding becomes a lot easier as well. So when the user goes to install an app on Android, you agree to something, and then there are a lot of permissions that you can get with one click. And so I think that's a difference that allows predictive apps to be able to do better on the Android side.
Any thought on that? There's nodding.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done the Android version yet, although my whole team was Android experts. Before we got started, we thought that the calendaring opportunity was greater on the iPhone. More people dislike the calendar there. But it has been an absolute challenge on iOS to try to be an equivalent app to the native onboard app. You really just can't. They've just not made it an equal playing field. But the nice thing is all of our competitors are in the same place, and so we're all the same thing, but the user does pay the price. Android is a better place to go deeper and provide that more seamless experience. Although I'd say it's iteratively getting better in the iOS platform.
I don't know. I struggle. I mean, it's so attractive when you look at all the stuff that's available on Android, and we've been on Android and iOS for both for almost a year now. Mm-hmm. We just don't find ourselves. there's just so much to do, and I mean, I think the being a home, if you're a home page or deck application, of course, it's a big deal to have that open to you. But otherwise, we haven't found it to be. We've just found so much to execute in terms of all of the connected data and networks, and the data that you can get to down in the phone. There's a bunch of useful stuff we've envisioned, but I guess there's so much in the experience, and when you're dealing with a consumer, it's more functions and features aren't better necessarily, obviously.
You don't feel constrained. Yeah. You may not.
Try to build a calendar.
Try to build a calendar. Fair enough. And then speaking of platforms slightly more metaphorically, one of the things that we talked about is the idea of people's work data, and they're getting back to this idea of the data that they'll give you. There's work data, then there's personal data. Sometimes there are different devices. How do you envision kind of crossing that barrier where really what I want is for it all to be contextually connected, but I'm on different devices, I'm on different delivery systems.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all operate in a slice of time. We were talking about this before the panel, which is that like not what's right here and now. So whenever something comes in from Outlook, we look at that. Whenever something comes in from my daughter, I look at that. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. And so I think that's where a lot of our applications are going, is to try and serve you, instead of forcing you to go functionally into these different areas, saying, okay, you're here right now, so these are the things you'd be interested in, and bring it to you at that moment.
Yeah, there may, probably will need to be some elements of predictive algorithms that aren't in the public cloud, right? To serve more of the enterprise data, you'll have to be in the private clouds or behind the firewall, paired up with technologies that are running in the public cloud for your processing consumer information. So you still get that seamless interface and that seamless behavior, and yet still satisfy some of the security constraints that the corporate users have.
And then speaking of platforms, what about Internet of Things? What about refrigerators? What about TVs? Are any of you TVs are a pretty easy use case now, right? They're already smart. They could potentially have notifications. Are any of you interested in extending your apps to that? Say yes. Because I want it on the
I
TV.
think, well, for Aviate at least, I think we view this as the home screen as our first implementation of a much broader vision of connecting people to the world's information. At the moment, it's useful, which can be on the home screen of a phone, but it can be on the web, it can be on a watch. I think, so we're really just trying to say, what is the information? And I think we're stuck in one implementation right now, but could very much go out to a lot of different use cases as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the wearables for notifications, because you can have what are considerate notifications. You can buzz a watch to let you know that you're running late, and so you're not rudely interrupting the meeting that you're in the middle of right now. So it's a great platform for that sort of thing.
Would you ever consider partnering with a wearable maker just to get it out there? We talked about Easilydo, right?
Yeah, we're partnered with Samsung.
With Samsung?
And have been for they came by our offices long before they launched, and they said, what do you think about this thing? And I was like, a watch, why would we? But they had a very compelling reason. So we invested, built last summer and launched with them, and it's been great. And I would say, I think watches and wearables are an amazing, it just brings your entire phone, 20 seconds closer to your face or 10 seconds closer to your face. It's awesome.
So I should wait to write my review until Easilydo comes out for the Gear Fit?
Yes. or get your older gear. Yes.
I'm not using that older one. It's not pretty. That is our time. That went really quickly. These guys hopefully will stick around for a few minutes somewhere out there for questions. But thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This is a good space to keep an eye on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I guess we go. Okay, bye.